Alright everybody, welcome back. So today I'm going to take this elm tabletop off of my temporary 2x4 base and build it into a new round modern dining table. So a couple interesting hiccups along the way. I'm going to try and keep the chatter to a minimum, but essentially the plan is to use a template, cut out a bunch of slices, resaw them into some thick, I guess, pseudo veneer pieces, and then build it into that awesome table you saw. So I appreciate you guys tuning back in, and I hope you enjoy this video. I had to get a little bit creative with cutting all these pieces apart and saving as much wood as I could. So before you go pooping your pants about me putting nails into the top of a tabletop, these are pin nails, and I put them in some of the bug holes that were already black to just hold everything in place so they didn't slide around when they were gluing. I was super worried about this turning into just a big goopy mess and having giant gaps in it being a problem. So this ended up working out pretty good, and I sunk the nails in pretty deep so they weren't an issue in the end. So if you're paying close attention, you might have seen some biscuits in the edge of some of these pizza slices, and I was hoping that they would stay centered and not end up being a problem, but a couple of them came through and I had to figure out how to fix that. And what I decided to do was just match the grain as best I could with some of these leftover pieces and cut a few small replacement pieces and kind of just chisel that area out where the biscuits were at and put these new pieces in. And it ended up working really well. Cut it out with the track saw, chisel it out, and it looks great. You can't even tell on the final table. It takes me a minute to find it even if I go looking for it, so I was really happy with the result. I could have bought a fancy circle jig, but I feel like there's always something new to buy and I need to take a break. So I made this one for myself and it worked great. So just a piece of plywood, hole drilled in one side and my router screwed to it, and then the other side screwed to the center of the table. So cut that out and then we'll finish it up with the bandsaw and some flush trimming bits, which you will see a lot of flush trimming this project. Also, I haven't mentioned, but these tables from Home Depot are fantastic because you can change the height to match either my outfeed table or my table saw, and it's super useful to haul stuff around on. So a couple $100, hit them up at Home Depot. And I guess I should disclose my sponsorship from Home Depot. We have a deal where I can go into any of their stores and give them some money for whatever they're asking for the stuff inside, and then they will sell it to me. So pretty sweet gig. So here I am putting the edge banding on the table, and before you think that I'm super smart to use a circle jig to match the radius of my table to cut the exact surface on these pieces, go and watch Four Eyes Furniture dining table build, because that's where I got the idea and half the little tricks I use in these videos. You could see when I was cutting the joint faces on that sled that my blade couldn't quite go high enough to cut the full face, and I decided to try and flush trim the rest of it, which I didn't think that it would make like a totally flat surface, but I was pretty surprised. It was like perfectly flat and then glued up nice, so I was really happy with the ability to flush trim this last little bit off, because that would have been a huge pain otherwise. Right here you can see I'm just changing the radius, this inner radius on the legs. My pieces of wood that I glued up were not quite big enough for my pattern. I don't know if I just calculated it wrong, but I didn't want to scrap it just to get the radius. Instead I just changed the radius and it looked great. So I didn't want to go buy a spindle sander, and I thought I would just glue some sandpaper to this socket, and it worked fantastic. It's a little bit loud and rickety, but got the job done, and I was able to smooth out this inner curve on all these table legs. So here I am just making a plug to go in the center of the table. The ends of each pie slice don't look fantastic after putting it all together, and I thought it would just look a little bit better to do it this way. So I don't have a lathe, and I am getting a little squirrely figuring out how to do this on my mini mill. So I'm going to chuck it up into the mill, and I'm making a little bit of a shaft to put up in there, and then I'll put a turning bit, it's actually a metal turning bit, into the vise and see if we can get this round enough to pound into the table. So I wanted to put this C-channel in to span that seam you see over on the edge of that table from the plywood when I was getting the 4-foot plywood into a 5-foot round. And I thought this would just add a little bit of strength and hopefully rigidity to the table. I was getting to the end here. I forgot to tighten down that clamp, which gave me that nice squiggle. Then my battery died, and once I finally got my crap together, I was able to just route 2 lines and then a little bit of the middle section out so this C-channel fit down in nice and flush. So for the finish on this, I use Rubio smoked oak, and it always is a little bit panicky when you first put it on. It's like army green, but once you get it all buffed out and put on correctly, it looks super nice. I really like it on white oak. I've had really good luck with it, and it seems to hold up really well. It goes on really well. I like the natural feel it gives, and I also would mention it smells super good. So I was really happy with how this table turned out. I love the grain orientation. Kids seem to like playing underneath it, and we're excited to have a new round table. So I appreciate everyone who made it this far in the video. If you don't mind hitting that subscribe and like button, I plan to do a lot more cool projects in the future, so hopefully I'll see you then.